Hi everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I do have a Divine Masculine Twin Flame read for you today, but I wanted to talk to you first. I had a really cool experience yesterday. I'm having a little bit of a rough day today, probably because of the clearing I had yesterday. So if I start to tear up, don't mind me. I'm just like all of you guys out there. And I'm going through it just like you guys. So yesterday I took the day with my son. We went down to the beach. We were just going to walk around and breathe in the fresh air and, you know, just have a day away. And you just never know what to expect, right? And we both knew that going into that day and to yesterday, which was kind of funny. So we went down to Ocean City, which is a beach not too far from me. And there's not much open this time of year. There's nothing open on the boardwalk, you know, maybe a pizza place and maybe a candy store, things like that. But we walked the length of the boardwalk and then we decided to go somewhere else because we used to spend a lot of time down there. And so we decided to just walk along the street, the inner streets off of the beach where some of the shops were that we don't usually walk along. And we can't, you know, there were some stores open, but not a lot. And one store we came across, I went to look in because I saw crystals in the window. And but then I went to the door and the door was locked. I'm like, oh, they're closed. But then when I looked in the window, because the door was a window door, there was somebody in there. And instead of the person just saying, you know, we're closed and waving to me, he didn't. He said, wait, and he let me in actually. So we ended up going into this crystal store and he said, oh, take your time. I'm just having work done upstairs and take as long as you like. So we were in there just looking around. It was a crystal store. Some beautiful crystals in there. And I ended up getting an orgone too, which is probably another reason why I'm clearing a lot today. So anyway, it's not just a crystal store. It's a, you know, they do sessions there too. They have a chakra bed with the pulsing lights for each chakra. And they do other services along with that. They have a meditation room with huge rocks, really, really beautiful. And he couldn't do the full session, but he said if you wanted to, you can do the chakra session. So we had to go eat still, so we went to eat lunch, and then we came back to do the chakra session, me and my son, because he had 2 rooms, so it was perfect for both of us. And I want to tell you the place too, because he was amazing in there. I didn't realize it, but I looked up his store afterwards, and he's connected with a whole bunch of other spiritualists. So the place is called the Heart Casa at 965 Asbury Avenue, and his name was Michael. Thank you so much, Michael. And it wasn't just that experience that, number one, the store was closed, but he let us in. And we ended up going to lunch, which ended up actually being a really nice place to go eat lunch. It was just that perfect energy day, not expecting it. It was a really overcast day. It was really still, like kind of ominous in a way. But we went back for the sessions, and I had the most amazing experience in my session. So first he sat us in the meditation room that has some really huge rocks in there, and we just meditate for a few minutes, and then he set us up in the session rooms and let us go with the pulsating lights. And I definitely got some messages for him, which I told him at the time. But when I went into my light session, I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew some stuff would come up because stuff comes up for me all the time. But when I got about halfway through the session and I was feeling clearing, I felt like I felt a shift in my root chakra. I felt some bubbling come up in my root chakra as well as my left thigh, which is actually was interesting to think about afterwards because I had hit my thigh. I bumped into a table in my house and I got a big welt there from that bump, but that's exactly where the bubbling up was coming. So that might have been that wound clearing. But I felt that, and I saw some other things, and like I said, I got messages for Michael. And then then Sophia came in, and I've seen Sophia a lot because I connect with Sophia mostly, but I hadn't seen her in quite a while. She came in really strongly, And then I was getting a connection to Shakti and Shiva as well. And then I was getting some random things coming in. I was getting Augustus Caesar came in, as well as I was getting a quick thing from Moses, but that didn't stay. But also getting a wound about Augustus and a wet nurse. Perhaps I was a wet nurse for somebody, but having regarding a wound for me. And then the reason why Sophia comes up for me so strongly is because one of the past lives that's come up for me was when I was an East Indian couple with my twin. And it's obvious every time I see them that we were so much in love, and how painful it must have been to part. And so I'm seeing them again, this life that I had. And then I keep hearing Father and being led to Father. And I'm in my meditation thinking, is this God? And then all of a sudden I realized they were talking about my father, because in the music that was going on during the session, it kept changing tracks, which actually I really like that because it helps bring in more visuals. But it went from a lot of waterfall music, and then there was classical violin, and then there was other kind of like even James Bond kind of music was coming in. It was really cool. But when the waterfalls were really bringing stuff up, and then when I heard the violins coming up, I realized all of a sudden it was my father playing the violins for me, because my father played the violin. And I just started crying, like bawling in the session. Because, well, number one, my father passed away in November of 2016, but that was the worst part of my dark night of the soul, was that year, because I cried almost every day for the first year and a half that I met my twin. Sorry, I might cry, but so because of the grief that I was going through, I really never properly grieved my father. We were happy that my father passed because he was in so much discomfort and pain the last 6 months of his life. So when he passed, we had time to understand and grieve this process, because it had been a long time that he had been sick. And when he passed away, I really didn't feel his passing, because I was happy that he wasn't in pain anymore. So when the violin's coming up and I realize it's my father playing, and I see him with his full beard, and how he used to mess with us with his beard, and rub it on our faces and that kind of stuff. I realized it wasn't just my father playing the violin, and there was another connection to this too, because when I was at a spiritual festival a year or two ago, I sat down with one of the readers, and they had brought up, they saw a circle of violins above my head. So he was saying to me, either you're a musician, or there's something else. And I'm like, well, right away I said, of course it's my dad, because my dad played the violin and I am a musician. But and then also my grandmother came in, and the message from that read was her telling me to just put the pieces of the patchwork together. So I'm in this meditation, and the violins start playing, and Sophia's there guiding me, because it was Sophia who had incarnated into this couple, right? This East Indian couple that we were. And so my father I'm seeing his face, and I'm hearing the music of the violin, and it's him playing for me. And then I realize it's not just my father playing for me. He's literally there marrying me and my twin, because he had married my little brother in California. And so like I'm crying, because it's just like what I was doing in the session. I started crying. But not only this, was he marrying us, and then we danced after my father married us, but the patchwork was coming up because I watched the movie American Quilt the night before. And I remembered the message from my grandmother and my dad from that read about the violins. And my grandmother saying, just put the pieces of the patchwork quilt together in the movie last night. The whole movie was based on the stories of the quilt, you know, and the stories they would tell on the quilt. And they were going to give this quilt to the young girl who's now going to marry. And then it was also paralleling her issues with, does she really want to get married to him and all that kind of thing. But at the end of the movie, the quilt was completed and she ran off with it wrapped around her and realized that she really did want to marry this person after going through a lot of stuff. So it just brought all of that together, along with the fact that my dad was marrying me. So we danced, and then actually my mother, who's hasn't passed, she has Alzheimer's, but she made an appearance there too, which made me cry because I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, so I had this really beautiful experience. And I don't see my father there was one experience after my dad passed where I saw him meet my twin, and my twin was afraid to approach him because he was scared he'd be mad at him. And my dad my dad wasn't a hugger, you know, but he pulled him in and he gave him a hug. And then he just stood there as my dad walked away. And my dad turns around and waves him, come on, you know. So he follows him and they get into this little roller coaster. Just like a Mr. Magoo roller coaster car, like a toy. But these two grown people get into the little car and they roll away talking about inventions and research and stuff. So I'd seen that right after my father passed that week. But I haven't seen anything like that regarding my twin and my dad since then. Although I have connected with my dad since then, I don't usually see his face, but I saw his face very clearly. And the day was fine. We drove home after that, and it was just a beautiful day. You know, just feel like you're in another world, like just all of this. And we ended up having a great conversation with him, and we got home, and both of us were really exhausted, and we knew it was from the clearing. And I thought it was okay this morning, but then I ended up watching someone talking about another twin couple coming together and them talking about how happy they were, and then I just missed my twin so much I just started crying again. It's just that kind of day where all the stuff is bubbling up and releasing because of the session that I had yesterday, which was really cool, by the way. I would try it out. It's really bringing some stuff up for me. But I wanted to share that with you because I'm just like you guys. I'm going through the same thing you guys are going through, and I have bad days too, and this was a tough one. And I know it's just the clearing coming up, but it doesn't make the fact that I miss my twin this much any less painful that it is every day, just like you guys all know. So I did a union read this morning, and then I did the masculine read, and of course a lot of parallels were coming up to what I experienced. This was the spread that came up earlier for the union read. Okay, and then you have the Divine Masculine read in front of you, which I'll get to that in a minute. So, and the session I did yesterday was it's like a 45-minute session. I think I did it was like 2:30 to 3:15 that I was in that session yesterday. This union spread started out with the underlying energy of the Page of Swords, and then the center energy was the transition card. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm looking at the wrong one. Yep, I am. Today's the 27th. All right, and today's the 27th, and the day adds up to the 33. And the 27 is the Ace of Wands, the 33 is the Christ vibration, which that came up as pretty cool too. The Union card, I'm sorry, the underlying energy was the Knight of Cups. And then the Starseed was the center card for that union read. And that union read is the horizontal lines are 3D, 4D, and 5D. The vertical lines are the Divine Feminine, the middle is the bridge, and then the right is the Divine Masculine. And then the cards before the read are the feminine going into the read, and then the masculine energy going out of the read. And then the last card up at the top on the right is the summary card or culmination. So we had the Knight of Cups and then the Starseed in the center of the read, which has to do with that offer of love and a fresh start. Perhaps someone to talk to over coffee. And the underlying divine feminine energy there was a message about the journey to the divine masculine's heart. And of course, that brought up tears for me. That started along with the video that I was watching. You know, you're happy for the other twins who come together, but you know, it's hard when you find someone who didn't even meet their twin until after your twin disconnected from you. You know, it makes it hard to take sometimes. So in the 3D here for the feminine was the Seven of Swords, passing the downloads in this deck, the SIRIAN Starseed deck. And the bridge to that, to the divine masculine and separation energy, was the 3D bridge. The bridge was coming up as the Mary Magdalene cave. And the Mary Magdalene cave is the Five of Pentacles in this deck, and it's like being the hermit in a cave but without your light. You know, so it can be very dark, and you're in exile from the group because there's a group down below, but she's on a higher plane than they are. The hermit without the light and exile. So remember too, the divine feminine is not really in 3D anymore. So it's like being above the 3D energy but dealing with it at the same time. And the divine feminine taking the risk, and the divine masculine to then follow the guidance and the light and join in their sadness in the 3D, the destitution, which obviously that sadness is coming up today, the cold place where you feel exiled from the group with just a few broken crystals that maybe you brought home from the store yesterday, right? So the 4D was the Emperor for the divine feminine, giving up control. The Emperor was literally like, even like my dad in my meditation yesterday, but also representing the feminine and her control. And in this deck, he's giving up a false hand. The hand is on fire and he's giving it up. He's letting it go. And I was definitely seeing it as a flow in this read, so you can have a visual. I was getting that, like, here the Emperor's giving off that false hand and it becomes the Ace of Wands over here on the divine masculine side. It's like passing the baton. So giving up control and breaking cords, perhaps with your parents even, like after I actually felt like I needed to break cords with my parents after my father had married us like that, knowing that my dad understood that it wasn't going to hurt his feelings, and that but there was such a strong attachment to my dad that needed to happen as well with my mom. So the divine feminine with the Emperor tossing away their false hand, the divine masculine with a new passion in the 4D, bridging like the Emperor, passing the baton to the divine masculine to lead in one big download, bridging a bomb drop. So dropping a big download or a bomb into the lotus or into the crown of both the masculine and the feminine. In the 5D was the Wheel of Fortune, the great wheel on the feminine side, with the Atom in the middle, which always references Adam and Eve. And the divine masculine with the Queen of Pentacles on his side, and the two are bridged by their guidance, their guide, the Akashic Records, the Sphinx, and the divine marriage. Shakti and Shiva were coming up, as well as Buddha was the main thing here today. And the meaning of the different positions of Buddha. And in this card, it comes up as the medicine Buddha. And they said that it comes up a lot at the Thai temples, the medicine position of the Buddha. So the Buddha being responsible for the delivery of knowledge, of medicine to the people, and the right hand being a blessing, like extended out to be a blessing to mankind, basically. And then there was just a lot of stuff that came up that I was writing a lot of stuff, like yesterday and today, about what was coming up online. Yesterday a lot about Buddha. Well, today actually Buddha. What was yesterday? Yesterday, a lot of Indian god stuff was coming up. I was researching a bit about that because I don't know that much about the meaning of each one. So today, Buddha and their positions was coming up. Thailand and Tibet were coming up very strongly, as well as Japan. And that the happy Buddha isn't actually Buddha. It's actually a revered Chinese monk, like Santa Claus. So that was cool that was coming up. And the difference between Buddhism and Hinduism. It was kind of interesting to read, so you might want to check that out if you'd like to. But the differences having to do with the self as opposed to the self as the collective consciousness, all being one. So the Divine Feminine in the Destiny card and the Divine Masculine with the Queen of Pentacles being more practical, right? Bridged by the Buddha I was getting. So the Tibet, Thai, and Japan, like I said, were mostly coming up, and the guidance of the Sphinx, which is Akashic Records, and of the Divine Marriage, which I experienced yesterday. Bringing the feminine energy of destiny, like right, the etheric realms, knowing and believing, and then the Queen of Pentacles of the more practical side of the masculine, bridged by the Buddha, the guidance, the Sphinx, and the Divine Marriage. So the masculine energy going out of that read was abundance and the Empress, from healing pain, or the Empress, perhaps upper back issues present. And it was coming up too for the feminine being represented by the lower back issues and the masculine being represented by the upper back issues to clear. And then even someone being a pain in the neck could be in the upper back issues as well. So in the Tower was the summary card in that read, going from the Knight of Cups of the Offer of Love to the Tower, right? So that can be it can be a sudden event, it can be a disaster, or it can just be any kind of eruption, explosion, or sudden event, or an epiphany, or even an orgasm. So the 3D downloads become lightning epiphanies for the Divine Masculine to follow, that light in the dark night, bridging through isolation to clear from old patterns of groups. And maybe that today just isn't the right time today. In the 4D, the Divine Feminine Emperor passes the baton to the Divine Masculine side as the Ace of Wands' new passion in bridging through the big bomb dropped to create a fresh new start in the 4D. In the 5D, the Divine Feminine destined divine timing to the Divine Masculine with the Queen of Pentacles, and then the bridge between, through the 5D, of the Divine Marriage, the guidance, the Buddha, the Shakti, and the Shiva, and the Akashics, and the Sphinx, and Atlantis, as well as the guide dance, the guidance. The Divine Feminine risking passing downloads to the Emperor in the 4D, passing the baton horizontally to the Divine Masculine for the 5D destiny and divine timing. The bridge of the Mary Magdalene cave, rising above the drama in isolation, or a need to not hold self above the group, or like-minded individuals, or go to a retreat even if you're not sure you will learn, even if you're not sure you're going to get new information from them. The Divine Masculine with the heartbreak separation following the lighthouse in the storm. The Mary Magdalene and the wings of her wingmen, Michael and Metatron. Mary Magdalene wingmen to find a new passion, and that there is only one flame, the 5D Queen of Pentacles. The message to the Empress, the journey to the upper back pain, clearing the Divine Masculine's heart in the Batcave, with big crystals perhaps, which I experienced yesterday, and present to epiphanies of the twin flame and the third energy, the masculine now understanding the Trinity, the triad, the triangle, which then ended up being a lot about what I researched in today's read. Fires that need to be cleared and transmuted, the masculine understanding this, and then the Divine Feminine, with the Knight of Cups and the Seven of Swords, Starseed, and the Three of Swords, was coming up as very light blue cards, whereas the masculine was making a pattern of lightning causing fires and thoughts from their downloads in thunder sounds and being more dark greens and purples in the sound, the feminine being the light of the light blues, and the masculine being the Metatron sound of the green, the deeper greens and purples swirling together. The Divine Marriage with the Emperor and right? A third person coming in, just like in the marriage, you have someone marrying you. Also, the love of my son can come in as the Knight of Cups, just to give you an example. And then the Hermit without the light. I was kind of paralleling it to my experience yesterday. And the Hermit without the light can be like the store being closed, letting me in for a big message, right? In order to give inspiration to the energy of both the masculine and feminine, and to see, and for the masculine to connect with the Queen of Pentacles in the 5D. The new passion for a fresh start, perhaps getting the father's permission to marry, right? That's another wound that can actually come up for people too. And just my journey to that crystal store yesterday, because that can reference the Mary Magdalene Crystal Cave and the Divine Masculine's Cave, because in this deck, the Bat Cave has 4 huge crystals in it. It's literally a crystal room. The Queen of Pentacles and the Empress, which can be a person and her mother, or just the mother, or Gaia expressed, but to end the pain present with the Tower energy, like in one big bomb drop today, which came up in the read. Something else I wanted to bring up, the guy I was talking to yesterday talked a lot about Brazilian energies and music, and they got their tables blessed in Brazil as well, so that was pretty cool. So today's read for the Divine Masculine in front of you, and thank you for bearing with me so far, because I want to share with you my experiences as well. For me, it's been 4.5 years since I met my twin, so it's been I don't get much communication. Now and then I might get a very dry response, but not much other than that. So here we go with the Divine Masculine read today. I hope this helps you guys. I do this for myself and for you guys, but this helps me also keep my energy high. So I don't want you to think that I'm any different than you guys, right? You guys are doing the same thing out there in your everyday. So the day being the 27 with the Ace of Wands and that new passion, new inspiration, new creativity. And then the day adding up to the 33, which is Buddha. And I think it's in my my Ascension deck. The 33 is actually the Buddha card. And it's also the Christ vibration. So it's paralleling those two energies. And the 7 of Wands, which has to do with standing up for yourself, but not getting defensive, taking the higher ground and standing up for yourself, but not reacting, not getting triggered. So the SIRIAN Starseed deck was cut at 11:28 to 29 this morning, which is the Justice and the Twins, the 2 of Wands and the 3 of Wands. And then at 11:41, which is the Ace of Cups, and 41 came up big in some of the stuff I was investigating later. The Ace of Cups, I was blind, but now I see, as I was putting out the cards, and the King of Wands Shaman card in the SIRIAN Starseed deck, his eyes were covered, right? So he was blinded. So I was blind, but now I see was coming up. So I finished the read, putting it all out at 11:50 to 51, which is Justice and the 10 of Cups. It was actually 49 to 50, which is the 9 and 10 of Cups, and then going into the 51, which is the King of Swords, but I was really more getting into doing the read. We had the 49-50, of course, are those beautiful emotional energies of fulfillment with yourself and fulfillment within a family energy, total, complete emotional fulfillment, and the justice of that. The major arcanas here for this read were the Star, the Hanging Man, and the Tower. The Star, being the Star, it's called the Star in this deck, and the Hanging Man is the Hangman, and then the Tower was the Tower. So we had 2 cups, 2 swords, 1 pentacle, and 3 wands today. So pretty well distributed evenly, and mostly wands, which has to do with action and desires, getting out there and doing your errands, or working out, or being passionate about something, being creative. We had, as far as court cards, the Queen of Cups, the King of Wands, which is comes up at this Shaman in this deck. The Queen of Wands was also in the main part of the read, and before the read, the Knight of Cups came up, the Page of Swords, and after the read, the King of Cups came up. As far as the numbers in the code line was all about new beginnings and time out. And the numbers were, on the code line, it was just number 1, the 1, just 1, that's it. And the oneness of us all. And double nines came up first, and then less so 33 and 88 came up. So the Christ vibration came up again, and then the 8 and the 8, of course, are the masculine and the feminine standing side by side, dancing within their own masculine and feminine, but then standing side by side, which then becomes the infinity on its side for me. So 33, 88, and 99. 99 is very much about universal selflessness, endings, and compassion. And let's see here. Regarding the code line of new beginnings and time out, and I was getting so distracted by what they were guiding me to research that I didn't get that much out of the code line today, but it did have to do with the star and shining your light, and the shaman energy definitely came up as the Indians, so that shaman energy was coming up there as well as a show of power. And Nin came up again, who's an author, but also her name is Angela, and I've done a read a couple months back where her name coming up as Angela first, and then her name, it was coming up as meaning angel of grace, something like that. So that energy was coming up as well here. So, and the after death, the Sophia energy of the feminine collective consciousness, the alternating currents going back and forth and how you feel, and the air conditioning, right? Conditioning the man of the thinking man, or the man of thought. And the wise one, angel of grace, the star to the nth degree, being the or the shaman in thee, and having to do a time out and a new beginning. Or can be adding a clear one, a wise one, a queen. The 19 of the sun and the show of power, in that sense, were coming up around the star, and the 3 of the Trinity, the Empress, which is also Gaia, and taking the high road as the divine feminine, and this is for the masculine, so telling him to go into his feminine, and his higher self, of course, is his divine feminine. Adding a queen, his sunshine, the 3 stars, the triangle, the Empress, the divine triangle, and Bermuda were coming up, the Bermuda Triangle. And then also the 9th star, which I'm not sure what that references to, but it might be a reference for one of you out there. The 9th star was also coming up, and then the North Star was coming up. And so I looked up North Star online because we have a bar called the North Star here, and it had closed in October 15th of 2015, the year that I met my twin. And this would have been right after I disconnected from my relationship I was in at that point. But this North Star bar closed 10/15/2015. Again, there's 2 15s here, being the devil energy, but they add up to 30, you notice, which is the union energy. And it had been open for 35 years, which is that Mary Magdalene wounded warrior energy. And also 10/8 had always come up as a special date for me for some reason, October 8th. So the North Star is Polaris at the end of the Little Dipper handle. And so all the constellations were coming up here, and I was looking for a triangle that involved the North Star, but that didn't come up. Cassiopeia came up as the M. It's like a W or an M for Mary Magdalene energy I was getting there. And then I was guided to the Triangulum constellation, which is nicknamed Tri, T-R-I, which then references Trinity, okay? It's in the northern sky, and it's a very small triangle, but there's the Triangulum. In Latin, that means triangle, and it's made up of beta, gamma, trianguli, okay. And then the third star that makes it up is the Alpha Trianguli, which is the apex of that triangle. It contains several galaxies. The brightest nearest the Triangulum galaxy, or the Messier, 33. So here's that 33 coming up again. It's called M33, like Mary Magdalene 33 in the Christ vibration. And the triangle is very small, so it's not very popular. You know, people don't think about it all the time. It's not the constellation you would look for, right? But this triangle contains the first quasar ever observed. It's numbered 3C48. And so we're talking about the 3 in the C, the Christ vibration, and the 3 of the Trinity and Gaia and the Mother. And the 48 is the 8 of Cups of walking away and within. The 3C48 lies within the Triangulum triangle. Quadrant NQ1 in area 78th, which is the end of the Tarot, the 10 of Pentacles, and it borders with Andromeda, as well as Pisces, Aries, and Perseus. So the quasar, I had looked that up because I wasn't familiar with the quasar, which is QSO, and that's an extremely luminous active galactic nucleus, and that's from wikipedia.org. It's abbreviated AGN, in which a supermassive black hole is surrounded by gaseous accretion disk, and the gas falls toward the black hole, and the energy is released in the form of electromagnetic radiation, which can be observed across the electromagnetic spectrum. So the black hole here, mass ranges from millions to billions times the mass of the sun, so it's huge. So the power is enormous, thousands times greater than a galaxy such as the Milky Way. And then I found this, and that was from it's from a radio source. It's called a quasi-stellar radio source. And then I found this other site. It was called Star Splitters, Best Doubles, WordPress.com. So it's talking about best doubles, and we're talking about double planets here, or double constellations. And it was titled Star Splitters. And there's someone, there was a conversation, a line of conversation going on here. And the top quote was saying, if this isn't the galaxial equivalent to the Bermuda Triangle, it's a darn good imitation. All I really wanted to do was go to Taurus, which was cracking me up. And that was 11/27/2012 by John Nansen. So I'm following his chain of conversation here, and I don't know why. Normally I would have gotten bored with this chain of conversation, but I was being guided to go through it. So he was saying they entered through the Epsilon portal, the warped web of the triangulum minus, which is a triangle just below the triangulum minus, which he attempted to exit in the easterly direction. And easterly has been coming up too for Easter. They came up in more than one way. And then he wrote the warped web of the triangulum minus, attempted exit in an easterly direction, ran into a mysterious wall of the sigma 285 sending shockwaves, aka STF 285, aka HI 21. So obviously he was looking to identify a star that wasn't clearly identified. So Sir William Herschel's 1782 catalog number, the capital I means, and I'm losing my voice, a difficult star, so difficult star to find. Can't find a description of the catalog designations, so he was guiding people into page 4 of the Cambridge Double Star Atlas. So Atlas was coming up here as well. So a star coded 21.C trianguli near FL.12 and 13. So there are two stars identified as 12 and 13 is on the minus triangulum star as one of the corners. And this was October 8th, 1781, double. It is the most north of a small telescopic trapezium of unequal stars, extremely unequal, with 460 times the smaller star is, 3/4 diameter of the large position, by estimation 55 degrees, which is the Ace of Swords, and then 60 degrees north preceding, which is the Six of Swords, finding peace in the truth. And the 460 is the Six of Cups, the children in the garden. So the triangulum minus, or at the left corner, is a C, which was then another researcher, Flamsteed's 12 trianguli. So the number 12 star was equal to the quote-unquote C star. So trying to figure out why they were calling different names, and is this the same star that I'm trying to identify? And whether 12 is a double star. So anyway, it went through all of this. He was trying to identify the HI 21 star. And he ended up going to sigma 285, but was able to rule that out, and then ended up finally figuring out it's sigma 269 is the same as the HI 21 star. And it's called Piazzi 2. Piazzi 2. And probably forms a binary pair. So it was found by Herschel in 1781, but also again independently by Otto Struve, and he had called it O Sigma 41. So here's where that 41, or the Ace of Cups, comes up again, which is love. New love, self-love, spiritual love. And this star he was looking for, this Piazzi 2, is closer to 13 than it is to 12. But it's between the 12 and 13, and the 13 is the corner. 12 is the corner of triangulum minus, and 13 is just above that, and this star is just below the 13. But there's a reason this star is coming up for us. It's Sigma 269. And it's coming up partly because the triangulum minus or minor, it looks just like the Bermuda Triangle, the one he was referencing in the beginning of this. And it's right at the corner of the triangle. I suppose that would represent the Florida Keys, would be the 12. And then the 13 would be right above the Keys. Very interesting. And so that this star would just be below that, in between. So maybe actually referencing a location in the States. But it's just like the Bermuda Triangle, and it's funny because at one point during our journey, I was reflecting the Bermuda Triangle onto the United States to see where it actually landed. So obviously they were, I was going along the correct path, and now they're bringing me back to a triangle that does reflect the Bermuda Triangle, which the points are in the Keys, in Puerto Rico, and then in Bermuda, which I've been in 2 of those points with my dad, which is really weird because I haven't traveled much with my dad. And then the 3rd place in Bermuda, I've been several times, including a glass bottom boat into the Bermuda Triangle with my 2 kids. So that was very cool. So again, this line, the code line coming in about the new beginnings and time out, and then it went into the whole Greek alphabet and the definitions of the different letters. And that was very interesting because I used, the coding all the time. So it was good for me to understand some of the Greek letters and what they meant, because that would then bring meaning for me in some of the symbols that I use. So I'm not going to go into all that, but you might want to take a look at the Greek alphabet, not just the letters, but what they mean. And also the after death, someone getting sacked, the Queen of the Nile came up in the code line, as well as the star. And then the 3 of the Empress. But it's bringing up the 3 of the Sigma, because the reflection of the Sigma is the 3. And then it was also paralleling the 2 and the 5, how they reflect each other, and also the 3 and the E. So all of those reflections were coming up, and also that Sigma is the 18th letter. Again, so 18 is the moon, but it's also considered by certain religions as the first day of the world. And then it's also derived from the Phoenician letter. It's pronounced sign according to them, but it's sin, S-I-N, which also means tooth. So that was interesting. So I'm not going to go into all those definitions because you can certainly look them up. But I spent a lot of time on that stuff today because they were guiding me through all this constellation research and the Greek alphabet, the meanings of it. So we go back to the coding here with the new beginnings and the time out. So adding a wise one and a show of power, north, and that can reference the North Star, and the 3 of the Trinity, and also referencing the 3rd point. So of Trinity, the 3rd point would be Sophia, because it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Sophia energy, or the Mother Godhead energy. But it would be the 3rd, because the female was always placed 3rd. They were never 1st. So this is coming up as a show of power of the collective energy of the feminine. Say, after the death, Sophia, or the Mary Magdalene energy on the cross with Jesus, in alternating currents of energies back and forth, and air conditioning of the thinking man, clearing the one, the collective consciousness, and the 9th E star also came up, to the nth degree a shaman, or the star of 3, which is the Trinity, and the Sophia, the Father, Son, and the Sophia. And also after death sack. So somebody after an ending of something, somebody getting sacked was coming up. And the wise one, or the Sophia, the feminine godhead, her show of power. And then E-star was coming up, and it was killing me because I knew I remembered E-star from something, and I realized it was the time out machine at my work. was E-star. I couldn't remember what it was. But E-star was also coming up as Easter. And my grandmother, that just came up today or yesterday, whose name was Esther, and I was named after her. It's my middle name. So Easter and Esther and E-star, as well as the Spanish E-star, means to be. And it was also coming up as a restaurant in Atlanta, but I think they meant Houston. There's a Chinese restaurant called E-star there. Yeah, so punching in, the punch clock, so clocking in and clocking out might be coming in today because that was E-star. And again, the show of power of the feminine and the North Star and the 3 of the Trinity and the 9th E-star. So if someone knows something about the 9th, why the 9th is coming up, please let me know below in the comments. But Easter and Esther, so the book of Esther is coming up as well. And then the Empress of the 3 and Gaia, to the nth degree, the Shaman, the Re, the Indian, and using the earth, right, as a shaman. And the 19 of the Sun, the 19th to be 3. So the 19 is the Sun, right, the Father and the Son. The Emperor was coming up prior to this, and the Sun and the Sophia. So the triangle of the Trinity was coming up. So we start this read with the Queen of Cups reversed. And the Queen of Cups may be crying or being sad. I was definitely crying today. Or it could be somebody being manipulative as well. After the war, this is for the Divine Masculine, the war with the Knight of Cups upright, with negative self-talk or silent treatment, spying, lies, or rumors, and holding back a new life and or their money. Defenseless to the energies as the King of Cups, suffering in silence at home, healing and forgiving after a battle of a breakup or disconnect from a partner. And then the magician was coming up in this deck, the gilded deck. He looks evil, even if he's upright. So I don't trust him even if he's upright. But this magician was coming up upright, manifesting their world upside down or another world in a judgment, decision, announcement, or wake-up call to action. Suffering in silence, a fool perhaps, falling on their face from grace or lacking faith. And the Page of Cups reversed, rejection, shyness, vulnerable, or perhaps spoiled rotten. Tripped up, dropping the facade, breaking patterns. Antiquated was coming up, childlike behavior, and also the dropping the child in childbirth came up again, like having a kid in the fields. Dropping a child in childbirth on their head, and the cord attached was definitely coming up as a visual on these cards today. Rolling out the red carpet, which can represent the blood that happens with the delivery of the baby, for the firstborn son, the wound of the mother's pride and joy, right? Because the son is more valuable than the daughter. That's another wound that needs to come up. The vulnerable making waves after perhaps going to the beach unprotected, and this is literally in the card, not aroused, not whistleblowing, and talking about circumcision and cord cutting processes. So I want to state too, before I go on with this part, that the Emperor and the Magician were coming up major in this underlying energy here as taking the lead or getting attention, being successful, triumphing, along with the Tower, so something sudden, where there's then the Two of Cups, which is a sudden break in partnership, and the Emperor praying that the dark birds will leave or for help. So they come up again too, the Emperor and the Magician. So they were big players. They're both upright, but it has to do with patriarchal energies as well. So with this talking about circumcision and cord cutting processes, nipping it in the bud, so to speak, literally, before he gets out of the mother's control. 3 of Pentacles reversed was coming up with issues at work, negative talk, immature talk, or silent treatment, lies and rumors, spying or third party through work. And the Taurus or Hierophant, marriage or religion or religious leader, establishment or establishment leader, ruling over the Magician with all the tools. So saying the Magician has all the tools, but the Emperor rules over him. And then Taurus with the rules came up, and Virgo or Gemini with the tools. The little red boots, which definitely can be a child, or mommy's minions coming up, connected to the rule maker and the Magician of the old boys club, the patriarchy, or friars, cardinals, to Hasidics, or twin boys were coming up, double YY, like always asking why, or double wide vehicle or shoe was coming up. Keys or clues laid out before them, a race to make magic, and kids who were dropped on their heads. You're only as strong as the weakest link, cutting away the weak from the chaff, cutting away the dead. And that was at 10:59. So that was a very sad feeling there with, a child who'd been dropped on their head. So because they become the weakest link, they want to get rid of them. At 2:59, the minute before the hour, before 3 o'clock, which 3 o'clock yesterday was when my etheric ceremony actually was happening. A proclamation that you are dead to me, or cutting a child out of a will, or for having a child out of wedlock, or of another race or religion, someone losing face, a honeymoon coming up, but beneath that was playfulness. And the honeymoon has to do a time away, right? And underneath that was playfulness for the masculines. And then the Page of Pentacles, learning how we hurt each other with pain, how to use pain to get somebody, forced to drink alcohol perhaps until you couldn't stand in order to teach a child a lesson, like catching your kid smoking and forcing them to smoke 2 packs straight so they'll never smoke again. No more easing, and easing, that ease came up when I was trying to reflect the letters of the sigma and the 3s and the s's. So ease came up, so that was important. No more easing them out of bed. Now people getting pushed out of bed if they refuse to wake up. Stubborn, antiquated, strike, refusal to work or move, disabled, unable to function, or present to a romantic tie with flame, along with cheating, lying, and stealing in the physical separation, leaving the truth out of the marital bed. Red pumps, red boots, using likes and things he can't resist at present, girls in red, dresses with long slits, and no hose or stockings okay as long as there's direct access, or not even them because they're getting too expensive, they're cutting them out, but present to the flame, that 2 are in one bed without connection, or 2 at a distance with connection, or both. A tangled braid we weave, no friendship with partner, and unable to get past romantic encounter, stubborn to a fault to do the 3D right thing with twin flames and emotional affairs. That is a lie, because with twins, it is not an emotional connection, it's an energetic fling. Twins can feel, hear, see, smell, and taste what their twin and partner does, depending on their specific abilities, and all are different. Personal growth comes up, and beneath that is self-discipline. The Emperor's praying for dark birds to go away, with a sudden breakup or disconnect. Good news, triumph, attention, or leading the way on a journey. The evil magician with a whole lot of money, or is wealthy, due to a family, business, or legacy, and the turtle being slow and in the way. So definitely there's a power struggle here, and then wanting to get rid of the slow turtle. There's an imp in the treasure chest, controlling the money, what goes in and out, doling out 1 coin at a time, a little truth, a little desire, but there's no love involved here. The evil magician, or a man with long gray hair, with the 10 of Pentacles, family or business, and then the shadow people all around him, wanting some of it. Could be brothers or partners competing over money in a sudden break, and the Emperor looks normal, but the other magician there, like I said, does not. Or the Emperor and magician can be one person, or they're triumphing over the Queen of Cups reversed in a break, with the Queen of Swords cutting out a child, or a parent, or a child who had an abortion or lied about who the dad is. Magician is breaking up with the Queen of Cups reversed at 321 jump, or hurting her for her own good, or in other words, personal growth. At 321 still, 321 jump. Looks like Aries upright, Taurus upright, Virgo or Gemini upright, Scorpio upright, Aquarius upright, but Pisces is reversed. All of those energies are involved right there. Or refusing sex until they use contraception, or the other is suspected of trying to get pregnant on purpose. The 10 of Pentacles, family or business or legacy, can be a group, and the Queen of Cups reversed with the Queen of Swords upright and the Magician upright, all involved in a relationship. The whole family seems to be in the marital bed, perhaps, and personal growth was coming up around that. The recent past is the 9 of Swords, suffering in silence, working hard or hard labor to get to the truth or to get the truth out in the aftermath of injustice, weakness, a Leo out of control or ego death, and surrender in a breakup or no affection, sharing energy, lots of feelings expressed, lots of back and forth, communication or travel, and a painful ending or ending pain, and betrayal, or bleeding out and now the worst is over. No more blood to get. They've bled him dry when all is said and done. The foundation is the Eight of Swords upright, the prisoner of the fool, dumping a prisoner, or hostage of being dumped, in the dumps, overwhelmed, peeing, throwing up, or falling on face from grace and lacking faith. The Queen of Swords speaks out about the secret being out at present, saying that it's okay to fall, but use your intuition and allow yourself to cry it out. Be present to imprisoning yourself, to anxieties and fears. The center energy being the King of Wands upright, the Shaman, the end of the family, or the end of the family, or the end of an emotional cycle of unhappiness, dropping the facade and letting go to repair, fix, or mend an upside-down world or sealed divine feminine, with all the time in the world on her hands. Healing and the Leo reversed, or ego, weakness, and challenged by the Star upright, dreams, healing, without light or sound, hanging out with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, or hung out to dry, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, with kids or twins, connected to the Page of Wands, inspired energy here, and patient working to align without a peaceful place to go, but with all the energy back and forth, with Leo reversed or ego, or exchanging energy and feelings with Leo reversed or ego, and the Leo reversed, Sagittarius and Capricorn, or King of Wands at the workplace with issues. Aquarius upright, Libra reversed, Pisces reversed, and Leo reversed came up with the Six of Wands reversed, not putting it out there, all at the workplace here, and the Emperor upright inspired to hang out with the Hierophant upright, and these can be two patriarchal leaders. It can be an Aries and Taurus as well, but it was like two men wanting to hang out separately above the women, or in a slowdown, or now that a secret is out, or the Dark Priestess reversed without the keys, or who already handed the keys over. No longer keeping their mouth shut, defenseless to the energies and attacks by negative groups or associations or third parties or overindulgences or antisocial behavior, and no peace, or not able to find a place to have peace. Now crowning was the Three of Pentacles reversed, that Trinity energy in this deck. It's literally called Trinity, the Three of Pentacles reversed. This can be a place of work or any place of co-creation, so church, school, anywhere. But here, now the Three of Pentacles Trinity with a new passion, out of final judgment or announcement, a wake-up call to drop the act with new love, and the Chariot, or Cancer, in a bold move with the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or legacy at 346, which is the Empress, and the Six of Cups, which can be the twins or the kids. So detoxing and coming out, keeping to self at work. The King of Cups upright, the King of Wands upright. This is a whole bunch of guys right here. The King of Cups upright, the King of Wands upright, the Emperor upright, the King of Swords reversed, and the King of Pentacles reversed at the workplace or place of co-creation. And of these people, there can be an Aquarius upright, and a Capricorn reversed, and a Leo reversed. The King of Cups overruled by the King of Wands with dreams, or he's an Aquarius, or has an Aquarius at his side. And the King of Swords reversed is inspired with, he also may have a third party, and the King of Pentacles may be hung out to dry, losing money and or status, or is just all about the money. But the King of Pentacles and King of Swords were reversed. The King of Wands upright may be under the doing things under the radar with these other kings. With the Knight of Wands, could be doing it with him. The Knight of Wands can actually be the King of Swords reversed, and the Five of Swords guy can be the King of Pentacles reversed. So he's definitely all about the money. But getting over a loss or regret of dissatisfactions, of burdens, hard work, or caught with their pants down by the Hierophant or Taurus, or marriage, religion, religious leader, or establishment, and at night getting over it. Maybe like giving the excuse that they've been slowed down because of women in their life, or because of the timing, or just the slowdown in the energies right now in the retrogrades. The King of Swords reversed, and the Knight of Cups offering love, with the Empress and the evil the evil Empress here, because there's two different Empress energies. This one's more of an evil Empress. But the evil Empress and then the Dark Priestess with final judgments, like she's placing judgment upon the masculine. Like she, in a dark way, she's placing judgment upon him. With a female Sagittarius, perhaps, drinker with an attitude, or potion maker with the white kiss hook. And that can be a teen or 20s child as well. but defenseless to her energy or physical enticements, or the secret being out and talking about it, the gossip and the negative influences, and unable to find a peaceful place to be. And then to be came up with a star, E star. So soon as the hanging man, hanging out, inspired with twin to walk away without option. The emperor is stubborn or purposely blocking affections of the third party or negative groups and associations to start over and is taking forever, or is just dead tired. Doing a dance, but it's the wrong dance because it's the avoidance, not the good one. The Knight of Cups offering love to the magician and or Page of Cups reversed, who may be rejected and frustrated, unable to find the right words. The King of Wands with affection with the third party through work could be twin. And the Emperor and Magician blocking everyone until the Page of Cups reversed, King of Wands figures it out, right? The masculine seeing himself as the Ace of Cups reversed, purging, crying, dumped, overwhelmed, peeing, vomiting, any of those, or just not sharing, in debt, not telling people, or scammed, or feeling he's in an inequitable relationship or distribution of monies. With the Ten of Pentacles reversed, dysfunctional family, or a family with family loss. It could be loss of money or a person in the family, or just dysfunction. You know, what family doesn't have dysfunction in it? But it can be a business or a group as well. It doesn't have to just be a family. The Page of Pentacles with little to show for all the work they've done or put in, taking care of everyone else before himself. The student or child with an opportunity or invite to learn and reap rewards, or perhaps someone's looking to retire. Stay optimistic, and soulmate came up for the masculine, but also new love, forgiving and learning, and true love, that this is a romance of a lifetime. Around the masculine, or how he is seen, is the Queen of Wands reversed. She could be losing her mind or feeling like she is. She could be tired or pissed off, or she could have a Virgo moon as well. Over-isolating or coming out, single and sad, or about a sovereign Queen of Cups reversed, or grown kids with an ill mother. Tired, sick, drained, overexposed, though the worst is over with the King of Pentacles reversed. Leo, Virgo, sick, or is an elder with issues. The worst is over for sovereign, and the King of Pentacles reversed and the Queen of Cups both reversed, but both losing in this battle here. But the worst is over. So the masculine needs to clear blocks of the Tower reversed in the aftermath of dumping attachments to the Queen of Wands reversed, who may be clingy and wanting to start over without negative associations involved, and then time out and new beginning comes up, but even more so is pride and leadership. The 5D world upside down and ego death, or Leo out of control, as the wounded warrior surrenders, the Sagittarius defenseless to negative influences and no peace, holding back money and or new life, and running from recovery of those trying to get back in at 417, which is the Emperor and the Star. So the wounded warrior reversed, which can be surrender for sure, magnetizing, gold coin, and ghosting a business perhaps. The King of Cups with his left eye on the Knight of Swords reversed and the Page of Cups reversed, who could be kids, but it also could be him holding his tongue about rejection, or used to getting their own way, or two kids or workers lashing out. And perhaps whining, acting like they're spoiled rotten. That can be kids or people at work. The Four of Cups reversed, starting over, no longer bored, healing and forgiving and walking away and within. The Queen of Cups reversed, prisoner, perhaps dumped on by the Queen of Wands reversed. They're both reversed though, suffering in silence. So they could be sisters as well, or people at work. And then the King of Wands shaman, challenged by the star, his dreams, healing, or just being a healer, and hanging out in the aftermath of issues at work, and surrendering to the King of Cups and starting over, healing and learning, or just healing and leaving. The Queen of Cups reversed, suffering in silence, or manipulating, learning to manipulate pain and suffering to make or get family business money, like someone manipulating to get their way into the money. A prisoner of the King of Wands, shaman, with issues at work or place of co-creation, challenged by an Aquarius, star, dreams, or a healer. dumped or in the dumps, crying, purging, or overwhelmed, peeing or vomiting, or just no love in their life, hanging out or hung out to dry by the Queen of Wands reversed in the aftermath of surrender at or of the workplace or place of co-creation to the King of Cups and or unconditional love in order to start over after the healing and trying to forgive and then leaving or going to the beach. All right, so that's the read, you guys. I'll just give you a card from the Kipper deck. I don't want to make it real long today. I didn't do my bowl either. Give you a little bit of clearing there. All right, let's see what we got from the Kipper deck. For everybody watching, the best and highest good of all those concerned. What do we need to know? What do we need to learn? And what is the summary of this read? What was the reason for me bringing all this information up? What do they need to know? All right, so there's definitely people working too hard, right, imprisoning themselves. And there's the man thinking about the woman. It can be vice versa as well. All right, and then there's the distant horizons, right? Thinking about what will be, what could be. So working too hard, imprisoning yourselves, thinking too much, and, you know, looking at outcomes. As distant horizons has to do with down the road. So 38 is the Queen of Cups, 29 is the Three of Wands, 16 is the Tower, and then the 10 of Wands, 36. So, you know, carrying too much burden, the Tower of Epiphanies coming up, but also, you know, sudden things coming in that you weren't expecting, making sure to stay present, and in the Queen of Cups energy, upright, of being loving and nurturing and intuitive as well. But it's mostly about, you know, working too hard, and also the weakest link being let go. Okay, so that's coming up for somebody. The underlying energy here is the privileged lady and the mature woman. Okay, that could be a mother and daughter. And here's some masculine energy that's in despair of the 32 in the journey. 6 is the lovers, and then 12 is the hangman. So this may have been she may have gotten hung out to dry or hung the masculine out to dry, and then this would be the lover's energy. And that can represent the mother as well. And here's the journey beneath that as well. Okay? Okay, guys. I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope your day was much sunnier than mine. And, you know, I miss my twin. So I'm going to show you the cards real quick, and then I'm going to let you go. The underlying energies there was the Sage of Chalices, the Queen of Cups reversed, the recent past being the Nine of Orbs or Swords, the foundation being 8 of Orbs, which is that imprisoning yourself, and then the middle is the Shaman energy of the King of Wands, challenged by the star, right, being the star, shining your light. The underlying energies, the Three of Pentacles, that was reversed, okay, and then we scroll across here to the Hangman, and then masculine seeing himself as the Ace of Cups, but reversed today. It was upright the other day. Was that yesterday? I can't remember. And then around the masculine is the Queen of Wands reversed. The blocks that you need to clear is the Tower, reversed today. And then we end up with the Wounded Warrior, reversed though, because that's surrender, so it's good. The King of Cups is upright with one eye covered. And then the Four of Cups is reversed. The Three of Swords is also reversed. And then we ended up on the 8 of Cups walking away within, with the Empress there on top. Okay, so she's got control over the situation. And you see the colors of the orange and the purples from all the cards. Okay, so it's definitely sacral and third eye today. And I love you guys. Thank you for putting up with me. Make sure you drink your water, get your rest, get your joy, get your nature. Definitely get outside. You know, when it's cold, we have to kind of force ourselves to go outside and do things like that. But any which way, I love you guys, and rise and be loved. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.